Hey, we're here with James Strachan. We just had our 3 years anniversary meetup here in Pathé Leidsche Rijn in Utrecht. Thanks a lot for coming also all the way from UK. Yeah, and we enjoyed quite a lot the meetup, also your talks. James, what are you currently busy with?
I have to go and bear that. Jenkins X. So I'm working a lot on Jenkins X, although generally speaking, trying to help development teams go faster is the main aim. Jenkins X is the open source vehicle for doing that, but generally speaking, we're trying to help developers go faster. Write code faster, test code faster, get code into production faster, review it, verify it, version it, whatever. So we're generally trying to, it's really interesting that a lot of the time we're all busy in software trying to build the real thing. Most of us don't have that luxury to spend time on these non-functional things, like how our build pipeline works, how our tooling works to release software. So I'm kind of lucky at the minute that we get to spend a lot of time going, how should all this stuff work? So we're kind of, I spent a lot of my career building software for other people. Now I'm spending a lot of time building software for me and the folks I work with, to make what we do quicker, easier, more awesome, more fun, more reactive, more feedback, more whatever. So it's really exciting that we can really spend the time to really automate the crap out of everything. So it makes everything kind of quicker and faster and easier and simpler and leaner and leaner. So it's really, really nice and empowering, really. And if anybody, by the way, has any ideas for how they think they could improve how they develop, how they test, how they debug, how they promote, how they verify, how they code review, whatever it is. You know, if ever you've got any ideas, just pop along the Slack channel in Jenkins X and go, hey, I've always wanted this. This has always bugged the hell out of me that I want this thing. Because we've got all the pieces to do literally anything now. With the cloud and with Kubernetes and with standardization and everything, we can literally solve a lot of these things that have irritated us or felt suboptimal for years. We can now just go, let's just fix that. Just to give you an example, I've always really hated chat notifications in CI/CD systems because it's kind of like a fire hose. You kind of go, yeah, I'd like to know if a build fails, and you go, switch on. Oh my god, I've just found 1,000 build notifications of other builds that I literally don't really care about. Chat notifications have never worked for me. With GitHub, it's never worked. With CI/CD, it's never worked. So we've kind of gone back to basics and gone, what do I want? Like, what do I want to be notified about with Slack? And then we work backwards of, I want this. This is what I would like. Work backwards, what does it take to do that? Essentially, I have Jenkins, we have all this open source amazingness in the Kubernetes ecosystem. What's the smallest thing we could build to do the thing I actually want? And it turns out, almost everything we think of so far have been 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, boom, we have an amazing platform. This is awesome, I use it every day and I love it to bits. But I think this is the thing that's really empowering right now, that before, changing things felt like this, oh my god, I have to change the core of this massive monolithic stuff. Now we can literally build little microservices. Everything's extendable with microservices now. So if you want a little microservice that watches, I don't know, when you release the production, you want to raise a service now ticket because that's what the company demands, or whatever the hell you. We can build little microservices that extend whether it's Kubernetes, whether it's Transactions, whether it's Istio, whether it's Glue, whether it's your service mesh technology, whatever your stuff is. And the thing that I find really empowering now is, we used to have these huge monolithic applications in the years. You'd have a massive Oracle thing, a massive Java app server over there. Now, the new cloud native world is lots of little microservices that all put together, they're modular. You can switch in and out any of them, and you can just go, I don't like your load balancer, I'm going to use a different thing. Or I don't like your autoscaler, or I don't like the way you're doing HTTPS, I'd like to do it like this, or whatever the hell you're doing. Any piece of the entire stack, you can switch out, do a different thing, or enrich. You say, I'm going to put the thing above. So the thing, I think right now is the best time to ever work in software ever. It's ever, because now developers were really empowered to innovate and fix things that have always been suboptimal for our lives. And I think we now have time to even do that. We've often felt like we have to do the real thing, build a real business application. As an ecosystem, especially an open source ecosystem, we do have people out there that have the time to fix these things we need to go faster, right? And I think we all need to focus on how do we go faster. Yes, we have to develop feature X, Y, Z and fix these 3 issues in Jira or whatever the hell it is, but we can also focus on how do we automate to go faster for all of those Jiras, for all of those commits, for all of those releases. Let's improve all of the things we can, not just manually do all this kind of crap.
That gives me.
Sorry, that was a very long answer.
It was a very long answer, but yeah, still we still need a few more minutes, or we still have a few more minutes to go. You mentioned something about having spent quite a few years in trying to develop tools about people, and many of our engineers are gonna have the same question that I do have at the moment. How did you come up with the creation of Groovy language?
Good question. So that's all down to my wife's shopping. So, well, it was a delayed flight and shopping. So I was in an airport. This is before the internet. This is before mobile phones and iPhones.
Before PSTN connections.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And so I was in an airport. My flight was delayed a few hours. My wife went shopping. I'm not a big shopping fan. I don't really like shopping too much. So I found an internet cafe, and I'd always been meaning to learn more about Python and Ruby. They looked kind of cool. I saw the kind of unique syntax. So I spent a couple of hours just like teaching myself Python and Ruby and stuff. And then I kind of thought, why is making a list and a map so horrendous in Java? Like in Java it was like this to make a linked list or a hash map or something. I thought this just doesn't make any sense. So then I was kind of bitching on IRC with a bunch of folks about the word from that. I just went, can I just make a language? And I was like, alright. So basically it was just an itch. It was like, it's embarrassing how Python and Ruby particularly, but there's lots of scripting languages, but Python and Ruby have such a simple, elegant syntax for working with data structures. I mean, lots of programming is to do with data structures and object structures and lists and maps and whatnot. And they have this eloquent, simple. What we now have a lot in Java's kind of moved slowly more towards the Ruby and the Kotlin kind of world with math, flat map, and those kind of things, and the object streams that came in Java and stuff like that. It was really a pushback to the verbosity effect in Java. Like I love Java, I mean Java's awesome, but I just wanted this to have the same expressive power that we have.
Yeah, and I still believe, guys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, James is quite happy about Groovy language because I noticed it during his demo. Exceptional demo, by the way.
Groovy's still groovy, right?
Yeah,
although
Groovy is still groovy, right?
You can still make a language, but still like other languages, right? Like you talk to James Goldstein, and he'll say what he likes about Groovy and what he likes about Kotlin, and what else kind of goes on. So I really like. So there was a time after Groovy, about 2 years passed. I was finding I was doing lots of web apps, and here's a slight aside. CoffeeScript was like a new language that came out to make JavaScript a little bit more Ruby-ish.
But in the end,
I think some people loved it, some people hated it. I kind of quite liked that it was less JavaScripty and a bit more kind of Ruby-ish. And Ruby is kind of Ruby-ish, right?
Still, don't get me wrong. We even had a talk about Groovy in the past here with Utrecht JUG, so I value it quite much as well. That was just a question for our engineers as well. Because on the other hand, I started this interview, if I may call it so, with questioning what you're currently busy with, and of course we had a talk or a session around Jenkins, right? So I believe many people from our audience might be wondering when is the final release of it, when is it going to be live for the majority of the people.
What Jenkins X you mean?
Yes.
So Jenkins X uses continuous delivery to build itself, so it's always ready. We're continuously releasing all the time, continuously testing it, continuously verifying it, so please use it like right now, honestly. It's ready, it's baked, crack on. We spent a lot of time, we've been on our own journey with Jenkins X because when you start, a lot of the cloud is kind of, once you start going microservices, everything is kind of complicated, you've got lots of moving pieces. We started consuming lots of upstream microservices, ingress controllers, Knative, Serve, all kinds of various things. we found we needed ways of locking down dependencies because sometimes other people would release a dependency and our stuff is great. So we did everything continuously, but over time we've learned to make things more stable we have a way of locking down versions, and then when other versions change, we can test them. And if they work, we roll forward, but we don't just take whatever the new version of upstream dependencies are. We test them first, and then go, yeah, this one's good, let's go forward. That one's bad, let's not use that one. And then we can go upstream and go, oh, wait, new microservice you did, it doesn't work anymore for us.
Yeah,
what did you do?
Time,
you get that kind of two-way feedback, right? So that was one of our lessons. The magical view of microservices. We're all just releasing stuff all the time and it always is going to work in production. You need testing. You need to test out. I've got 100 microservices, they're all running in the same cluster. Does one change in one microservice affect the other one in some adverse way that you don't know until you put them all together? So that was a bit of a learning that we realized we call it a version stream. We added our own, rather than taking from the internet, we have our own stream. That all the changes are pull requested into this version stream, and then we test each permutation of versions and go, yeah, they're good. Everyone else can get them now. And we found we had to put some CI/CD around it to make it easy. But no, basically just crack on as well. It's lots of fun.
Cool. Speaking of the two ways feedback that you mentioned, I guess still many people are quite curious about the competitors. So who is or which other service is the biggest competitor based on
Jenkins?
Yeah. What do you
interesting,
think? What is your stand? What is your take?
I think that's a tricky one because it's kind of, are you comparing like SaaSes, PaaSes, open source projects? Like I think ultimately a lot of software is going to turn into a SaaS. I think over time, in many ways, like I'm a big open source fan, I love open source, I mean it's an amazing way of doing software, but really what most people want is not open source software, they want someone to run it for them so they don't have to worry about it, then they do the upgrades. So I think even though JXX is an open source project and everyone can code and run it however they want, really most people want a SaaS for that. They just want to go, can you just run my JXX and you upgrade it whenever you think it upgrades, and if something goes wrong, can you just fix it? So I think most people kind of want like a SaaS thing. So as soon as we do the SaaS thingy, it's like, well, now we're kind of competitive to Amazon services, microservices, Google services. I think from an open source thing, you could say Jenkins, because in many ways we're trying to automate CI/CD and avoid people having to spend a lot of time manually tinkering with Jenkins and pipelines and stuff. So we kind of disrupt Jenkins a bit, but it's more we use Jenkins to automate to make people go faster. But there's a bunch of things in the space. You know, there's Concord, there's GitLab, there's a bunch of other things out there. And, you know, use whatever you think is right. I mean, there's always different technology approaches to different users for different users. So obviously, Jenkins is the next one. Well, right, but you know, if you happen to have chosen something else, don't feel bad. You know, we all make mistakes. But I think the thing that, for me, the biggest game changer is there's an open source project called Tecton, which is a slightly long story. There was a Kinetic Serve had a build component. Then Google made something called Kinetic Builds Pipeline, which was like the next iteration. And now that's moved out of Kinetic Serve and it's now a standalone project called Tecton, which there's a new CD foundation for CI/CD called the CD Foundation, which is a peer of the CNCF, it's called the Linux Foundation. Jenkins is one of the projects, Jenkins X is one of the projects, Spinnaker that does continuous delivery is one of the projects, and then Tecton is another one. Tecton is awesome, but Tecton is basically the canonical way for anybody to make pipelines. You can use any configuration of a code or high-level language above Tecton, so you can code generate Tecton however the hell you want. You could use I don't know, Circle CI YAML, or you could use Travis, or you could use CodeShip YAML, or you could use GitLab YAML. You could use whatever the source code is you want. You could generate Tecton from that. So for me, Tecton is the Kubernetes of orchestration for CI/CD. So I think in many ways there's been all these different CI engines that are all increasingly functionally the same. The source code differs, but the runtime is basically similar.
So
I
please,
think we're all commoditizing around Tecton. So James X uses Tecton. It looks like the Spinnaker folks are going to look at using Tecton as their kind of pipeline engine for doing LCD. I would like to see GitLab do the same. I would like to see Circle do the same. We're working with CodeShip folks to do the same for the CodeShip side. We're working with Jenkins to adopt the same Tecton YAML, or the James X YAML. So I'd like to see, basically we should consolidate, right? The CI, particularly CI, it's commodity. Running some commands in a Docker container, it's not a game changer anymore. Anybody can do that in any runtime, whatever. For me, the game changer is the next few levels above, where we automate how you deliver reliable software to production. That's not, I run some shell commands for doing native deploy. It's the next few levels up the stack where automating what teams do to get reliable version tested, automated code.
it will be
That's
a bit
the
after
big
it, because we don't have that much
Sure.
battery. It's
No
gonna die,
problem.
right? It's gonna die, right?
Let's keep going until he dies.
Yeah. So the very last question to our members, or to you actually, for our members. Given that you are a seasoned engineer around CI/CD pipelines and all the rest, what would be the best tips you could give to the like-minded people to grow or to build up a good career on that area?
I think that's a great question. I think one tip is don't worry too much about the implementation. What matters is composable container images that do stuff well. So whatever you're using, whether it's Jenkins, Jenkins X, Tecton, other stuff, everyone's consolidating on one model. We have lots of tools that do one thing well. We put them in a Docker container and we use it. So running steps in a Docker container, it works like that in Jenkins X, it works like that in Tecton. Pretty much every tool is gravitating towards that. So that's if you build your CI/CD around Docker containers running tools, that tool will be, you can move it from Google Cloud Build to CodeShip to Jenkins X to Jenkins to Circle CI. So that's the first quick thing. Focus on tools, the best of breed tools that do the thing you need and compose them. Don't focus on some one massive crazy lump of complex code that does gazillion things and then focus on lots of little tools that do one thing really well, whether that's compiling Java, or releasing and promoting Helm checks, or doing Docker stuff, or building Docker images on a Kubernetes cluster, like Canica. Pick tools that do one thing really well, learn them, use them. They're transferable tools. It doesn't matter what your CI/CD system is, the Docker images will move. I think the other big lesson is automate the crap out of it. The idea of manually making a pipeline for each one of your apps, once you really become a high-performing team, you're going to be making microservices every couple of days. You're going to be saying, let's do something in Node. Well, let's try Rust. Let's try Go. Let's try Java. Let's do this other thing. Once you really become a high-performing team, you're going to be experimenting and trying things out. And every time you try something, it might be a new microservice. You might take one microservice and split it in three. You might move some things to Lambda and some things to it. You're going to be changing stuff a lot. Change is the only thing that's going to happen. So, automate the crap out of everything. That's another big lesson. Manually making pipelines, you're going to be wasting huge percentage of your time doing undifferentiated heavy lifting. Let's focus on going faster. Now focus on what is the thing you're doing that's unique about your business. Compiling a Java microservice using Maven, that's not a piece of custom business logic for your company. Use a reusable buildback for that. So whatever that buildback is, it doesn't really matter, but outsource that. Outsource managing containers, building containers, doing CI, ideally doing CD. Outsource everything that's not your unique USP about your business. Focus on that. Everything else, just automate as much as you can. Whether that's a cloud provider, whether it's a partner, whether it's a CI/CD tool like James Strachan. Outsource the stuff that's undifferentiated heavy lifting. Focus on the stuff you should be. And don't waste time messing around with Jenkins pipelines or whatever the hell it is, or Circle CI, YAML. Automate. So it's been a pleasure.
Thanks a lot
Thank you.
to James.
Yes.
Thanks a lot for
Thank you.
your
Thanks for inviting me. It's
time
been
as
awesome.
well.
Thanks for the
And
beer.
yeah, nice beer.
Cheers.
See you next time. All
Cheers. Still battery?
Really. It's out now.